Hey everyone, David here from Team Ultra Instinct, bringing you an X21 top 16 deck profile. I managed to squeak into top 16, literally getting 16th place. I don't know how. I actually thought I would bubble out. One of the people that beat me got 17th place, and I feel bad for him. It was Scott Dashy. Shout out to you, man. You were great to face, and I feel like you deserved my slot in top 16. So once again, sorry to hear you didn't get top 16 if you're watching. But you were great to face, and playing KP managed to beat me. It's crazy. But we're here to talk about Expert 21. Very fun deck, very pilot heavy deck. If you miss sequence, it can cost you the game quite often. Um, but I'm very happy to see this deck have a breath of air and, actually being able to play the game. And I've always liked this leader since release, so it's nice to actually be able to play it. But standard, when you attack, draw a card on this side. Then awakened conditions is you need a blue-green multicolor card in your energy, and your life has to be at 6 or less. Standard on tap 1, draw 1 leader. The main reason we actually play this leader is because of the interesting effect for her auto. The permanent, sure, you can't play cards with the original card cost of 6 or more, which is fine. The auto is when a card in your energy is placed in the drop area by one of your skills, draw one card, then choose up to one blue-green multicolor card in your drop area and add it to your energy in rest mode. At the start of your opponent's next main phase, choose up to one blue-green multicolor card in your energy and switch it to active mode. So we kind of have a lot of energy manipulation here, and we get to reuse cards from our energy and play cards from the energy. And it's all resourcey. There's a lot of neat cards that this deck can run, and I'm very excited for what it's become. So let's dive right in right away. I'm just going with the standard stuff. So I have two dirty bursts. Dirty bursts came in clutch most of the event. I faced uh, SS4 and Sin, and those were the two matchups where this really popped up for me. I did side it out in a couple matchups where it just wasn't going to be useful, but in those matchups, I mean, it literally single-handedly won me a game against Gogeta. I had to keep stalling turn by turn, and he has to gamble on me not having it for 2-3 turns in a row, and I happened to have it 2 turns in a row, and caught him off guard with a card he didn't really know what it did. And shout out to Frank Miller. You were great to face. He was the SS4 player I faced, and managed to take you down. I got lucky. I think I got lucky. Seeing Dirty Burst that much in a row, I definitely got lucky. But two of those in the main. Then next, this doesn't need any explanation. So standard 4 Senzu. I'm not even going to explain it. I have my deck set up a little weird right now. I don't know why I decided to do this upside down. Standard 4D Magic. This doesn't really need any explanation either. It's the staple blue negate. Let's put the better one on top. 4D Magics definitely came up. Obviously, it's going to be one of the best negates. There were times, actually, though, where I was only untapping one energy with it, so I couldn't put myself open for Broly Crown. There were a lot of times in the game where I couldn't respond to a Broly Crown, so if I did that, it would have just actually ended up losing me the game. Came in clutch to do that against Sin, so don't always dive in and just untap two. You got to be smart about it. So I was untapping one, and I would have like another D Magic in hand, but I wasn't trying to go for the second energy every time, If you don't have a counterplay to back it up and they Broly Crown you, you're going to be big sad. Next card, which I don't know where your brother is. There he is. Sorry. Two Android 17 Defending Friends. Staple negate for blue. Comes up a lot. Searchable in the deck. You could run more. I chose to run two because I only have two, but I honestly don't think I would run more. It at 2 is very nice. I saw it when I needed to see it. It did get counterplayed a couple times, so that felt really bad, but that's all right. Card came up, still great. Yeah, I'd keep it at 2 personally, but you could run up to 4. I mean, it's a floodgate. The deck doesn't have access to nearly as many floodgates as Gamma, so it's nice to be able to kind of push your opponent back. And also, with the strategy of the deck being to loop your super combos, it's very nice to have some sort of extra hand hate or make them kind of think twice about swinging with battle cards. It came in clutch in a couple games. In other games, it was just a negate, which was good. I mean, I did use it as just a simple negate a couple times. It doesn't always have to be the actual floodgate portion. Next, our super combo, which is what we're actually trying to loop with the leader effect. So when you're putting the multicolor card from your drop back in your energy, this is typically what you're putting in. Sometimes you'll put in like Bad Omen from your drop the energy, or maybe an Android 17 or something, but this is typically who you want to put in. Measureless strength pops up every now and then, but the super combo is just nutty. Being able to combo it, potentially 8 times in a game, maybe more, kind of stupid. Free 10k combo that also punishes your opponent's hand size. So we run 4 of this, and you do use it in the early game, use it in the mid game, late game, comes up at every point, and not being tied to a life threshold. It's absolutely huge. So this is the main card you revolve the deck around, really, with some other shenanigans, like I said, but this is like the most annoying part about the deck. It's weird having hand destruction be mostly bottom decking cards, which is what that does, so Deborah doesn't even work on it. But after that, we have... sorry, I actually forgot about this card. This came up once in the event. The Anniversary Box Super 17. I only run 2. You don't really need more than 2 because it's a turn 7 play. You run it because it ignores energy exhaust, and then you run it for the activate main. You can get it every once in a while. You don't usually get to turn 7, but sometimes you just happen to get to the 7 energy. I guess not turn 7, you might ramp. But I did get to 7 energy against Frank Miller. Caught him off guard with this card. He didn't realize what it did. And so I caught his SS4 deck at 3 life. I hit him for 1. Him not realizing what this did, he should have just Z-awakened, and then he wouldn't have just died in the clapback. But I paid 7 for this and played 2 Bad Omens out of energy and burned him for 2. Turns out Bad Omen's a pretty stupid card. Who thought? But yeah, we'll get to the Bad Omens, and I'll talk about that when we get there. But Android 17 Key Channeler, this guy's actually a pretty key part of the deck. So he's one of your ignore energy exhaust cards, so typically one of your turn 1, turn 2 charges. And if you continue to see him and you still have 5 or more life, which is the important part to know here. Leader has to be a blue android, and you have to have 5 or more life to negate its energy exhaust skill. So sometimes, you're not at the threshold to ignore energy exhaust, and it is what it is. So you gotta be a little smart about it. But the main reason he's so important is for a lot of things. I mean, he's barrier, he's a multicolored blue-green card. So he has this activate main. This first one is very important in the early game. So you pay blue. If your leader card is a blue android card, you place it in the drop area from your energy. And then if you do, you play this card from your drop. So you trigger your leader, play him, and then your leader auto or resolve, you'll draw a card and then put a multicolor back into your energy in rest mode. And then that'll trigger potential untap at the next main phase. Very useful. And then the activate main, this is why it's very important. This kind of keeps your leader fueled on your turn without having to pay any energy and just keep it going. So it's activate main is place 1 card from your energy in the drop. Doesn't matter what color energy it is. Could be any card in your energy. And then you choose up to one of your opponent's unison cards and remove a marker from it. That is actually extremely relevant. It kills unisons. You can kill unisons. You can focus attacks on unisons and not at leader, and still be able to kill them pretty efficiently. And plus, against the boo unison, this is nice. So actually having unison removal on a stick in the deck is very nice. Next card we have 1 non-SPR measureless strength. Unfortunately, let's put her to the back. 4 measureless strength. Typically your turn 1, turn 2 pitch. Usually you don't play it, or it's a charge, or you pitch it and search top 5. Usually you're pitching it because you need more important pieces to find. Blue androids with energy cost of 5 or less. I played her in a couple games. She was nice for the crit pressure. She's a crit 25k, or just being able to bottom deck an opponent's card on the field and then bottom deck a card from their hand, your choice. She came up a couple times for play, but typically you're just discarding her and searching top 5. Very clutch card. Definitely a 4 of. Big fan of that. I mean, it's basically a free search. Most of your cards in here are going to be blue androids 5 or less. There she is. Bad Omen. So 3 of them. You could run 4. I wouldn't recommend it. 3 seems to be like the perfect number. Because if you have 3 in your energy and you have that Android 17 in your energy, you can play all 3 of these and burn your opponent for 3. It's pretty stupid when there's not a whole lot of counterplays to hit 5 drops right now or 25Ks. There are cards that hit it, so you could get stuck by blue if they have Baby Ape ready to go. But plus side is they have to respond to the 17 auto, or activate, so you can choose to not play anything if they respond to that. Otherwise, they hit board and then they kill your opponent almost every time. Card's dumb. I do think it either needs to see a limit or a ban. Burn like this from your energy at all times is just kind of stupid. And it's just like at the perfect amount of life, especially with ramp now too. It's just not really fair. And the new 21 leader can play it for 2 energy, potentially free if your opponent is playing blue and green as well. So I do think this needs to be banned. I did kill a lot of people with this card. They have low hand size, they can't respond. I push them to 1 life and then just slam down Bad Omen. There are some times I actually pay the 5 for her to keep the leader skill going. If they remove, like, for example, the Android 17, if that's on board and they remove it, I actually do sometimes opt into paying for 5 for this to not actually neg an energy, because you'll pop an energy and then replace it. But if you play her from the energy, you know, you lose her from the energy, then you pop an energy and replace it. So you technically neg an energy if you play her from the energy. But I did pay 5 twice, maybe. Came up, worked out great. Like I said, 3 of. If it deserves to get hit. If it doesn't, you know, I wouldn't run more than that still. This card also furthers the looping power of the deck while also being a searcher. So when you play this card, you look at the top 5, you add a blue or green Android card among them to your hand. Comes up a lot, searches out your secret rare, because obviously you play the Android 21 secret rare, searches out Bad Omen, searches out your super combo. Literally almost every card in your deck is searchable. This is absolutely huge for the deck. Then the important part actually is the second auto. When you play this card, activate the skill. At the end of your turn, you may choose 1 blue-green multicolored card in your energy, return it to your hand, and if you do, choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your energy. So, you know, sometimes it's your turn 1 play. You go turn 1, play 18. You have potentially Measureless Strength or 17 Key Channeler or the other 17 in your energy. That's what you use to pay it. Then you search top 5. You know, maybe you get something important, and maybe you hit Bad Omen. If you already have Bad Omen in hand, almost every single time you're picking up the energy at the end of turn and then putting Bad Omen down instead. But sometimes this could be a mid to late game play and the super combo is in your energy. So then you pick up the super combo and put something less important down. So another way to loop your super combo. So this is generating another 4 times to potentially get it to your hand. So just keep that in mind. This is all talking ideal of how many times you can put your super combo back to your hand, but it can get pretty dumb. This was actually one of my techs, and it came up once, twice, maybe in the online event. Unfortunately, it came up a lot more at locals than it did in the online event. I just didn't have the right matchups, and then in one of the matchups I really wanted to play it, which actually was Janemba Mill, it got milled. Both times I saw it go into the trash, so it was a little sad to watch it get milled when I wanted it the most, because what it is it's a 20k crit blocker, a rival for a blue and a green. When it's played, you draw a card, and then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and it can't attack or activate blocker for the turn. And at the end of your turn, you switch it to active mode. So really what it was for me against Janemba is it was just meant to be crit pressure and deny hand size. But it got milled. But card is nice. I did side it out a bit. I didn't side it out every game, but I did side it out a bit. I like it at 2. I do like the card, and I might keep it more as a sideboard card, but I'm still tweaking the deck. It's definitely not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad either. One of our other dumb cards that causes a little more hand control, bottom deck hand control, is Kusu. At first, I was only going to run it at like a 2 or 3 of. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, well, this really fuels the strategy of the deck. It's going to bottom deck a lot of cards. So it's a 2-cost counterplay. All the skills are autos, so if it does get prevented from entering play or it has its skills negated when it enters play, you know, it is what it is. But when it's played, this bottom auto, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and energy costs 6 or less and then bottom deck it. The other auto is if you have a multicolor card in your energy. When it's played or it's used in a combo from your hand, keep that in mind. You can't play it, make them bottom deck a card, and then combo it from board and make them bottom deck another. It's a little tricky how the wording is, but it actually has to all be from hand. So when it's played or you combo with it, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and bottom decks it. So you're bottom decking a card from board potentially and a card from their hand, or you're just bottom decking a card from their hand. And then it is a 1-cost 5k combo, so keep that in mind. It does matter. Sometimes it's not enough, but it does attack the hand. So at 4, it came up a lot. Very useful card. Annoys a lot of people because it hits 6 or less. Obviously, if it has barrier, it's irrelevant, but very strong. Very strong. So our next card here, I feel like I don't even need to explain this. This card's dumb. Absorb their board, including unisons, and then you can recover up to 2 life. I know I recovered up to 2 life maybe 3-4 games out of 8, and yeah, this card won me too many games. It's very stupid. I don't know why they made it give you life back, I'm gonna be honest. There were games where I intentionally took life, didn't even bother comboing just to get a bigger hand size. Card's dumb. Card's dumb. Next is our unison. So this unison is not designed for the deck, but it fuels the strategy so well. You're never using it really for the counter attack. I mean, you could. It pops up sometimes, but typically you don't. And it has blocker. But the main thing is blocker being very nice. The +1 is when a card in your energy is placed in the drop area, draw a card and switch it to active mode. So we're already placing cards in the drop on our own turn. And there is a card that actually enables it during the opponent's turn. So you're drawing 2 cards a turn between this and the leader. And if you face green, it's rough because they can kill the unison pretty easily. So I usually side it out a little bit in green and make it go to like a 2. Very strong card, though. Very strong in defensive power. So typically what you want to do is swing with it during your turn, pop an energy, keep it in active mode against an aggro deck. Then set up for a block. And then maybe get an attack to go through somewhere. If you have another blocker on board, that helps. And then you combo a card that actually pops an energy during the opponent's turn. So that'll trigger your leader ability, and it'll trigger the Zamasu, and then restand the Zamasu again to be ready to block and also draw a card. So it's very nice. Very strong card. Definite 4 of. Then next, we've got the card that does exactly what I was saying. So the new Android 21 TP helped the deck out a lot. Absolutely a lot. So it has barrier. I did play it a couple times. Sometimes you have to play it and just do it for the auto at the end of turn. Place up to 1 of your energy in the drop. Just to keep that strategy going. Because if you don't see that 117 early in the game, you know, this is the way you're going to pop energy during your own turn. The limit 1 auto is place 1 of your energy in the drop area. Return a multicolor energy to your hand. So another way to loop the 18, that's 8 times. Sorry, as I was saying, that was 8 times to loop the super combo already. And another way to trigger your leader and Zam. So draw 2 in your opponent's turn, loop an energy, then have Bionic Blitz set up behind it. Very strong. Yeah, I absolutely love this TP. It really helped the deck out so much. I just needed more ways to pop energy, and that being a combo piece to do it is just very nice. And it's a 1-drop. Then our last card of the deck, another way to loop your energy for the Bionic Blitz. Master Roshi, Masterly Majesty. So when you combo it, you choose a multicolor card in your energy, return it to your hand. Then when you combo with it, choose 1 card in your hand, place it in your energy in rest mode. So pick up Bionic, and then put another card from your hand down in rest mode. Sometimes it's an extra unison, you know, sometimes it's Bad Omen, sometimes it's another multicolor card, sometimes it's Beam. I mean, it really depends on the situation. You have to be smart with your charges in the deck, but the main goal is to keep looping the super combos. So now you have 12 ways to loop the super combo. So you can technically super combo 16 times in a game. Kind of ridiculous. But the downside for the deck is it does trade a lot of cards in hand. So you don't have a huge hand size. You're usually sitting around 7, 8. But yeah, so you sit around 7 or 8 cards in hand. And so you can brick. I mean, the deck's a lot of 10Ks, you know, something to be wary of. But it functions very well. It's great in a lot of matchups. It struggles a bit against green, but it can handle it. I'd say it can handle about everything, but it does struggle against hard aggro and hand hate. Those are some of its worst matchups. But let's go into the Z deck. Z deck is Cell. Cell comes up. I mean, you have to run it. You got to respect big boards. Crit pressure. absorb board, clear board up a bit, potential triple strike crit. Slap a super combo behind it, and then it's a 35k crit, making them bottom deck a card. Comes up a lot. This card actually, the Vegito is one of the MVPs for me. I do get to turn 5 quite a bit. There are times where I just untap 2 on the opponent's turn after that, since it triggers the leader skill on the opponent's turn with the TP. So if you do it during the opponent's turn, you do your auto. Now suddenly you're going to untap an energy during their next turn. It goes back to your turn, and then you pop an energy, and then you'll be restanding 2. So typically that's your ideal turn to go into Vegito. You set up for that, and then this is great game-ending pressure while also feeling the strategy of the deck. And it's a 30k blocker with barrier. So at the end of your turn, you switch it to active mode and then choose an opponent's battle card, and then they choose one from hand and place it at the bottom of the deck. And that came up a lot to where I was limiting hand size on people. This single-handedly killed a Janemba player because it's just too much. It's a 30k triple strike. Like, yeah, it's rough. Then the next card, I guess we'll start with the card that actually plays it out for cheaper. So I did swing with this card a lot, but you have to be mindful facing yellow and blue. Don't want its skills to, well, I guess it doesn't matter if your skills get negated on swing, but you don't want your skills to be negated on play. I mean, that is what it is. But if they T-blow this, whatever. But it is a way to self-awaken. You're typically playing it to self-awaken while also being a 10k crit. Sometimes you swing with it, sometimes you don't. And then that bottom auto to play a 4-cost Android 21 from underneath it. Or I guess a 4-cost, 4 or less Android Z battle card from under it during your opponent's turn for 1 blue energy. And then typically you are Z stacking into the 4-drop. And this card just generates so much value in the deck. You go for the auto, which is to play it, and you don't even need to do it to clear board or anything. You just do it, maybe clear a body on board. Then it's a 20k blocker, and then it's ramping you a card on the auto as well. And that ramp is what puts you so far ahead. It gets you just that extra energy. And if you face another Android 21 deck, maybe not expert, but inset, they'll probably do the same thing. So they'll stay close in energy, but this just gets you ahead of so many other colors. This card's so good, and it being a blocker is actually huge for you. Sometimes you pay the 4 for it, and then you'll stick like Vegito under it and give it barrier, or maybe even triple strike. Depends on the situation, but the card is kind of snapped. Last card is Beerus. Beerus comes up a lot, and the ability to be able to bottom deck something on swing, then pay to restand bottom deck a card, ignoring barrier, then swing 2 more times and apply pressure. It's just absolutely huge. Usually I do it for board removal, not really pressure or anything. I mean, this card's just great at board removal. So to get rid of big bodies that are bigger than their energy cost. So Beerus, I don't think I'd change my Z deck. I definitely like where it's at. And it flows well until they release any other cards that'll support it. That's what I'm keeping the Z deck as. Sideboard, Android 16. I ran 2. The card came up a lot. I sided it in for aggro matchups so I can kill 4 or less bodies. And there were a lot of aggro matchups. I didn't side it in for any control matchup, though. This card was just not good in those matchups. But 2 in the sideboard came up a lot. Definitely would keep it at as a 2 of. I consider it for the main, but it felt better as a sideboard piece. Then I run actually 3 Desperate Measures, and this was actually for the Android 21 matchup. Mostly so they can't play their 2-drop Z battle card to prevent it from entering play. It's for Beerus, and it's for anyone that's trying to play out SSB Vegeta surmounting the impossible from the Z deck. Came up a lot. It actually technically is a way to loop Kusu. So you can play Kusu, then Desperate Measures, some 2 or less card coming in, and then you can bounce one of your own blue battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less to your hand. So you could technically loop Kusu. I never had the opportunity to do it, though. Very strong on the sideboard for me. Came in a lot. I think it only paid off a couple times, but it still paid off. Definitely a stronger card now, with some of the Z deck cards just not having deflect. And then I run 3 Debora on the side. Every time I don't respect any sort of actual green hand hate, I always get clapped by it, so I had to respect it, and I put it in there. You don't need it, but I just ran it out of principle for myself. Then I ran 2 Kami. I was expecting like a Trunks Cheetah, but I didn't see any Trunks Cheetah matchup. And it was just so I can board clear. It would come in clutch in that matchup, but unfortunately I didn't face it, so this never came up. But I don't feel bad about it in the side. It felt alright, especially as just a 2 of. Then I run 1 extra Dirty Burst in the side. This is just for SS4 Gogeta. And like I said, I did face it, and it came in. So this card's actually for slower matchups. I run 2, and it's for matchups that know they don't need to swing at you, but it's another way to take a life. So it's pay 2 blue for the activate main. You play it from your hand, then add up to 1 card from your life, so they can't activate with the life taking. And then the other activate main, it comes up a lot actually. I use this on Golden Frieza, and the activate main to place 1 blue-green multicolored card from your energy in the drop, and then KO an opponent's battle card was really huge. Another way to fuel the leader if you really need it. This card was fantastic in the sideboard for me. I used it a lot in slow matchups like Golden Frieza. And I think I used it in an SS4 Vegeta matchup, and yeah, it was just great. Then, last but not least, 2 Black Smoke, because we gotta respect the unisons. I actually did this intending to face Gamma, but I didn't face Gamma all day. But still, it popped up. I think I used it in the Golden Frieza matchup, and I warped an Icarus unison once, but I didn't really get to use this card a whole lot during the day, but it was definitely very nice. Might have used it against Janemba, I don't remember. But that's the entire deck. Matchups for the day. I believe this is the right order. Golden Frieza, I managed to take it down. That was a pretty close matchup to start the day with. Then, I believe a blue SS4 Vegeta. I felt pretty in control of that matchup, but it was starting to get a little scary because he managed to get to the late game, and that deck starts to do stuff in the late game. I think he actually played the SS4 Vegeta SR on me, and I thought he was going to go in and have the Kaioken SCR, but he didn't have it at the time. But I think that would have changed a lot if he did. Then I faced Frank Miller, who was playing SS4 Gogeta, or the SS4 Goku and Vegeta. Very good player. He knew to target the Unison when that was on board because it was a threat, generating a lot of value. And I think I only caught him off guard because he just didn't know what the deck entirely did. Like, he had an idea, but he didn't know what every card did, and he just didn't ask on a couple, and it ended up biting him. And I felt a little bad for it, but he knew that was going to be the reason that he ended up losing, was because he just didn't know a couple cards. But great guy. We had a great game, I think, and I hope he enjoyed the match at least. After that, I faced Sin. Unfortunately, I think that was probably the worst hand I had all day. Got easily clapped by him. Wasn't the best game. I mean, I put up a fight, but I couldn't keep up. The deck wasn't doing what I needed it to do. Then after that, I faced Scott Dashy playing King Piccolo, Green King Piccolo. Definitely a really enjoyable game for me. I ended up losing because I didn't have a negate at all during that game, and I went to 3 life, and he played Cell Max. I had like 1 or 2 energy up, but I didn't see a Dimension Magic or a 17. So he cheesed me, and he quad striked me, and I was like, yeah, man, like, there's not much I can do. So he ended up taking me down, and I was getting a little worried for the rest of the day. I had 2 losses in a row, but I decided I'm going to keep chugging through. And, I had fun facing Dashy, so I wasn't discouraged. I kept going. And then after that, I faced I don't know if this is the right order. I either faced Janemba or I faced Golden Frieza. I'll start with the Janemba just in case. I faced Janemba, and I wasn't expecting to see a Janemba mill that late in the game, especially with 2 losses. I don't know, it caught me off guard. But Janemba's matchups that suck for it are hand hate, and this plays, hand control, and unfortunately, I was putting on crit pressure on him while also controlling his hand, which is 2 of the things it does not want to see. And yeah, he hard stuck at 3 energy for the game because he needed cards in hand to play, and it didn't work out, unfortunately. I felt a little bit bad. especially just like there's not a whole lot you can do. This is just probably one of its worst matchups. Um, so I ended up taking that game. And then after that, I faced another golden player. And I knew what to expect already. I had tested against Golden a lot, so I think I did a lot of the right plays. But I'm pretty sure I swung at leader probably when I shouldn't have, and he ended up being able to self awaken perfectly fine, get all that going. But I was controlling board, and I saw the secret rare when I needed it. One of those games where it came up really clutch. And yeah, I ended up taking that. And final round, I faced another Sin. I was scarred by the other one, but I kept chugging along. And I had a much better hand this time, so I definitely had a good fighting chance. And I ended up pulling through, and I know part of the reason I pulled through is because I saw the secret rare, and it just is what it is. But yeah, so great day for me. I ended up 6-2, squeaked in the top 16, and like I said, I felt bad. Dashy got 17th, and he totally deserved my 16th place. I guess I technically had better tiebreakers, even though he beat me in the head-to-head. But I managed to get my Nats invite, which I'm happy about, and I absolutely love this deck. So hope you guys also really like what you're seeing out of this. It's a very interesting deck. It's very pilot heavy. You can't miss sequence. I mean, maybe once, but you really don't want to miss sequence, or else it may cost you the game. So hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. I know it was a long one, but I wanted to go a little in depth with some matchups and how I did. So hope you enjoyed, and take care, and I'll see you in the next one.